Snow White is a kind-hearted princess, with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. She lives in the palace, unaware of the looming danger brought by her stepmother. Her innocence is highlighted as she lovingly interacts with the animals, a symbol of her pure soul. Her presence is serene, the joy she exudes contrasting with the dark forces around her. The Queen, Snow White's wicked stepmother, gazes into her magic mirror, where she asks who is the fairest of them all. When the mirror responds that Snow White has surpassed her in beauty, the Queen's jealousy turns to hatred. Her jealousy manifests in her cruel plans to rid the kingdom of Snow White, believing her beauty is a threat to her own. The scene oozes with malice and envy. In her chamber, the Queen devises a dark and twisted plan. She calls upon a huntsman to carry out her dirty work, instructing him to take Snow White into the forest and never return. The Queen, in her twisted cruelty, believes this is the only way to ensure her place as the most beautiful in the land. Her face is filled with determination and cold-hearted resolve. The huntsman is deeply conflicted as he takes Snow White into the forest. As he prepares to carry out the Queen's orders, he is overcome with sympathy for the princess and sees her goodness. His heart softens, and in an act of mercy, he cannot bring himself to harm her. He lets Snow White flee deeper into the forest, saving her life. Alone and terrified, Snow White runs deep into the dark forest. She is lost, frightened, and exhausted. Yet there is a sense of hope in her determination to survive. The dense trees and shadows of the forest create a menacing atmosphere, but Snow White's courage shines through. Her innocence is her shield against the dangers lurking within the forest. Snow White stumbles upon a small cottage in the forest, the home of 7 dwarfs. The cozy, humble house stands in stark contrast to the dangers outside, offering a sense of comfort and safety. As Snow White steps inside, she is greeted with warmth and kindness from the dwarfs, who welcome her with open arms. They are small, but their hearts are large, filled with care for the princess. After hearing Snow White's tale, the dwarfs warn her about the Queen's evil intentions and advise her to stay inside and lock the door whenever they are not around. Despite the safety they offer, Snow White's heart is heavy with the fear that the Queen will not stop until she is found. She is determined to be strong, but the shadow of the Queen's power looms over her. Back at the castle, the Queen consults her mirror once again and discovers that Snow White is alive. Furious, she vows to stop at nothing to find and destroy her. The Queen, knowing she cannot trust anyone but herself, begins to devise a new plan, using dark magic to disguise herself as an old peddler woman. Her transformation into a harmless old lady only amplifies her cunning. Disguised as an old woman, the Queen visits the cottage and offers Snow White a shiny red apple, promising it will grant her beauty. Snow White, trusting the kind old woman, takes the apple. The moment she bites into it, the poison begins to work, and Snow White collapses, her eyes closed in an eternal sleep. The scene is filled with sadness and betrayal, as innocence is crushed by evil. When the dwarfs return to the cottage, they are horrified to find Snow White lying lifeless on the floor. Their hearts break as they realize she has been poisoned. They place her in a glass coffin, keeping vigil over her, hoping for a miracle. The sorrow and grief are palpable as the dwarfs stand helpless, looking at the princess they had grown to love. A young prince, who had heard of Snow White's beauty and kindness, arrives in the forest. When he sees Snow White in the glass coffin, he is struck with deep sorrow and decides to kiss her, hoping his love will break the curse. His kiss is filled with love and devotion, breaking the spell that held Snow White captive in eternal sleep. The kiss of true love breaks the poison's hold on Snow White, and she awakens to find the prince by her side. Her eyes flutter open, and her face lights up with surprise and happiness. The dwarfs rejoice, and the forest seems to come alive with the sound of birds singing. It is a moment of pure joy and relief, as hope has finally triumphed over evil. Snow White and the prince share a moment of quiet joy as they realize their love for each other. The prince promises to protect her, and Snow White feels truly loved for the first time. The dwarfs cheer, seeing the happiness and love that has blossomed between them. The forest itself seems to echo their love, the trees swaying gently in the breeze. Back at the palace, the queen hears that Snow White is alive and has found true love. Filled with rage and jealousy, she tries to flee the castle, but her wickedness catches up with her. She is punished for her evil deeds, and the once powerful queen is banished, her cruelty unable to overshadow the love and purity that now rules the kingdom. Snow White and the prince return to the kingdom, where a grand celebration is held in honor of their love. Snow White is crowned queen, and the people rejoice in the union of their beloved princess and the prince. The air is filled with music and laughter, symbolizing the hope and renewal that has come to the land. The kingdom flourishes under Snow White and the prince's rule. They work together to bring peace and happiness to the land, ensuring that no evil will ever again threaten their people. The castle is filled with warmth, and Snow White's heart is at peace. This is the beginning of a new chapter, where love and kindness prevail. The seven dwarfs, who had always cared for Snow White, are invited to the castle to join the celebrations. They are treated with the same love and respect as the royal family, their loyalty rewarded. The joy they feel in the presence of their friends and the princess is evident as they share in the happiness of the kingdom's renewal. With the queen gone, the kingdom enters a time of peace and prosperity. The people are happy, and Snow White's reign is marked by kindness and fairness. Flowers bloom in the fields, and the sky is clear. The kingdom reflects the harmony that Snow White and the prince have brought to it. As Snow White and the prince stand together looking over the peaceful kingdom, they make a vow to always love and protect each other. Their bond is unbreakable, and their love will be passed down through generations. It is a promise of a happy life filled with warmth, love, and joy. Snow White and the prince live happily ever after, ruling the kingdom with love and wisdom. The people admire them, and the kingdom thrives under their rule. The dwarfs continue to live with them, and all is well in the land. This is the perfect end to their story, a life of peace and happiness. The once dark and menacing forest is now a place of serenity and beauty, symbolizing the triumph of good over evil. Snow White walks through the forest, now a peaceful and enchanting place, where the trees sing with life and the animals follow her. It's a reflection of her own inner peace and the harmony she has created in her world. Snow White's story is told for generations, passed down as a tale of love, courage, and triumph. Her legacy lives on in the hearts of those who hear her story. The kingdom thrives, and her kindness continues to inspire all. This is the final chapter of her journey, where her love story becomes a legend that will never be forgotten. The final scene reflects the deep moral message of the story, that love, kindness, and bravery will always overcome evil. Snow White's journey from innocence to strength, from despair to happiness, shows the power of love and the importance of staying true to one's heart. This is a story of hope, reminding all that no matter the trials, good will always prevail in the end.